I hope you liked that little video that I made. Basically today I'm going to use the video as an example to teach you 5 gimbal transitions. Now obviously you don't need a gimbal for this moves. It's basically the principle that I want to teach you, so you can use it across the board. You can use a handheld, you can use it with a gimbal, you can use it with a tripod. The principle all applies. But today for me, I'm using the Feiyu AK2000C gimbal. It's one of the new gimbals that are sent across, so I'm testing it out today and see how it goes. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the first transition is the sky rotation. Now, just like the name suggests, we're going to use the sky and make a rotation to transition from the first and second scene. Now, how to do this? Now, first of all, set your gimbal to all axis mode. So basically POV, or you can use all axis mode, so there's no locking in any of the directions, allows ease of free movement. The good thing about the Feiyu 2000 is that it's got a touchscreen, so I can quickly switch between the pan or the follow mode or different modes that's really accessible on my fingertips. And then basically what you want to do is find a piece of empty sky, or actually you can use this not just on a sky, you can use it on a blank wall, you can use it on a solid color, anything that takes up your big portion of your mind so that your eye can register it quickly, because keep in mind your eye registers things faster than your brain. So for a fast transition, you want something that you can register but at the same time blur enough so that it tricks the mind but doesn't trick the eye. Hope that makes sense. So anyways, so I point to the sky, basically pointing upwards, and then rotate it in the same direction and then follow it down. With the next scene, I start off with the sky rotating in the same direction. Keep in mind, try to keep it at the same speed. If not, you can always adjust it in post and then just link it straight just like that. You can add some motion blur in post if you like to make it more realistic and transition more seamlessly. But apart from that, easy as that. Okay, the next transition is the frame blocking. It is the most common transition that we use all the time. It doesn't have to be on a gimbal, it could be anything. So today I have my subject walking in front of me at the same speed and the same distance, just so that we keep in focus while everything else is blurred across the screen. You can use an object, a canvas, a street lamp, a post, or a sign as a block, or you can even use someone else like a pedestrian. You can also artificially create something in front of you by just putting a black jacket or something. And then in post, all you have to do is add a mask, follow your frame or your frame block, and then good to go. Okay, transition number 3, I call it a color match. It's basically the same principle as the previous two with a little variance. So you can now use, instead of the sky, you can actually find a piece of color that matches the previous scene. So for me, I like to use the back of our subject here. She had a black shirt on, and then I transitioned with the same black shirt. You could use a black shirt on the first scene, and you can also use a black frame or anything that covers your lens so that it's pitch black. And then you can just basically do a hard cut and you're good to go. So for me, let me show you how I did this. Basically, I had the subject rotating around her, and then I zoomed in into her back, giving a total pitch black scene. And on the next scene, I started from behind her, once again with the camera facing her back, and as she walked off, I let more light in and then followed her onwards, so then I transitioned seamlessly to the second scene. Okay, transition number 4 is the whip pan, and literally that's how we do this transition. We literally just whip our camera to one direction and then connect it with the second scene rotating in the same direction. Now keep in mind here, keep the speed around the same. Also watch your shutter speed, because we would like to introduce some motion blur during the shot so that it's more seamless. Obviously you can make it in post, but it's just a lot easier if you can do it right on the spot. Okay, so let me show you how it's done. So as she was walking towards me, all I did was whip to the right, and on the second scene while she was walking past me, I rotated in the same direction around the same speed and then followed her into the scene. Okay, so the next one is not a transition, but consider it as a bonus tip. This is more of an editing trick. So with this one, what I did was I shot the girl up down with the camera facing down. Okay, well with the AK2000C, it's actually quite stable, the motors, so I was able to sling it upside down effortlessly without any motor shakes. I think that's a good testament of its motors itself. So I was following her as she was going forward, and then I made another scene following her from behind with the same cut. Now when you do the cut, be careful, because make sure that the leg that it lands on in the first scene is always connecting the same leg on the second scene. Okay, so it's more of a seamless transition. Okay, transition number 5, and this is the walkover or the jump over or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so basically I have the camera set right on the floor, and then I had the subject walk right over it. Now this is where you gotta watch out. So as she was walking, make sure her leg or her feet somewhere connects with the camera lens as close as possible without hitting it. Now to do this, you actually block the camera slightly. It doesn't have to be pitch black, but I prefer if it is black. It's a lot easier for you to transition to the next scene. Because the subject needs to cross over the gimbal, it's best for you to be away from the gimbal while shooting this. And to do this, I was able to use the Feiyu's app. By turning on the sensor, I was able to control the gimbal with my phone just by rotating it through its motion sensors. So that was quite a helpful feature. I used it then and it was quite good. Though you do have to watch out the sensitivity. I turned off pan and just left tilt on, so I basically locked pan, which is exactly the motion that I wanted. And on the connecting scene, the same movement. She was walking and then taking a step off from the camera lens and then walking forward. So you were able to make a cut right in the scene. Now, hope you liked the video. Now, if you want to see more camera transitions as well as camera movements, I've got another tutorial coming in about 3 days time, and I think you're going to be surprised on a couple of camera movements that should be really helpful with your video game. Once again, I meant video production game, not the video game. Okay, so I'm George. If you like photography or if you like cinematography, feel free to subscribe and follow and click that like button. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.